Mr. Grimes was on holiday by the sea. He sat on a deck chair and wiggled his toes in the sand.
This is the life, he thought. Sun, sea, sand and fresh air.
He sighed contentedly. Of all the different holidays he'd tried, it was the seaside he liked the best. It was definitely the most relaxing. Especially this year, he'd rented a cosy beach hut with a bedroom, a bathroom, a little kitchen and a place to sit with a big window that looked out to sea. It was called Repose. Little did he know that the Raggy dolls were on holiday too. They had hidden themselves in one of his suitcases, and now they were just as comfortable as he was, camping underneath the beach hut. The Raggy dolls had rolled up their sleeping bags and were about to make plans for the day. Claude peeped out to see what Mr. Grimes was doing on his first morning.
Sacre bleu, he chuckled. Monsieur Grimes has chosen the beach hut avec the best name for him. Huh?
Why? Said Lucy. What does Repose mean?
En anglais, it is, how you say, my rest. And that is exactly what Monsieur Grimes is doing, n'est-ce pas?
Well, we haven't come here for a rest, said Dotty. Come on, let's go exploring. The beach was filling up with lots of families playing about and looking for places to sit. So the Raggy dolls kept out of sight by dodging between the huts. But all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, Sad Sack was hit on the head by a wet tennis ball.
Oh, he moaned. Where did that come from?
Before anyone could answer, a big, hairy, wet dog appeared and nearly snapped up Sad Sack in his slobbery jaws.
Oh, sorry, said the dog. I thought you were a ball. I love chasing balls.
The dog suddenly shook himself and sprayed cold seawater all over the Raggy dolls.
Ah!
Cried Princess. Stop it! You're making us all wet.
Sorry, said the big soppy dog. Can't help it. Where's the ball? Where?
Here, said Dotty, holding it up. Please take your ball and go.
Great, said the dog eagerly. Go on then.
Go on what? Demanded Dotty.
Throw it, of course. Go on, anywhere you like. I don't mind.
Dotty sighed and threw the ball as far as she could. The dog immediately bounded after it, kicking a pile of sand into the Raggy dolls' faces as he went.
Pah,
said Back to Front. That crazy pooch is a menace. It's getting too crowded round here, said Dotty. Let's find a more secluded spot. After a while, the Raggy dolls found the perfect place. A small rocky cove that was too difficult for people to get to, but easy enough if you were the size of a Raggy doll. Lucy and Dotty started collecting shells, while Back to Front and Hi-Fi looked for objects washed up by the sea.
Oh, look,
called Princess, kneeling down by a rock pool.
Lots of baby crabs. Aren't they adorable?
The others rushed to look at them, all except Sad Sack. He sat in the warm sunshine and closed his eyes.
Mr. Grimes has got the right idea, he thought. I think it's time I had some repose of my own.
He had just about emptied his mind of unwelcome tennis balls and big soppy dogs when he was suddenly interrupted by a rather bossy voice.
Oi, you! Funny face! Yes, you!
Sad Sack blinked in surprise. It was a large crab with great big claws, and it was talking to him.
Have you seen my nippers?
Yes,
said Sad Sack warily.
Good,
said the crab.
Where are they then?
they appear to be on the ends of your arms,
said Sad Sack, rather puzzled.
What? No, said the crab. Don't be daft. I'm not talking about me claws. I'm talking about me nippers, me kids. Have you seen them?
Oh, I see,
said Sad Sack. He pointed to the others.
I think they might be over there.
I might have known,
grumbled the crab.
Stuck in a rock pool again. Who'd be a mother? You can't turn your back for 5 minutes. Happens every time the tide goes out.
There's no such thing as peace and quiet when you're by the seaside, he concluded.
The Raggy dolls were surprised to see Mrs. Crab, and they found it quite difficult not to laugh, as she gave her children a proper telling off.
When are you going to do as you're told? Do you ever listen to a word I say? Stay close to me, I said. Now look at you, stuck in a rock pool again. Sorry, Mum,
said one of the little crabs.
Don't you sorry, Mum, me. You'll be sorry enough when you end up in a jar of paste.
After the crab family had gone, the Raggy Dolls carried on exploring. Hi-Fi and Back to Front decided to look at ships through their homemade telescope.
Look, there's a windsurfer, stammered Hi-Fi.
He handed the telescope to Back to Front. "Where?" said Back to Front, not looking in the right direction.
Just a minute. What's that?
What?
There's a boy on a rubber dinghy, and he's drifted out to sea.
Hi-Fi and Back to Front rushed to tell the others.
We better call the Coast Guard,
Said Lucy.
No need, said Dotty. Look, they're already on their way.
Sure enough, a high-speed inflatable boat with 2 lifeguards on board was bouncing over the waves out towards the boy. Back to Front was still looking through the telescope. The windsurfer had also seen the boy and was trying to reach him when a big wave made him lose his balance. He was in the water, between the lifeboat and the boy.
Oh no,
said Back to Front.
I don't think they've seen the windsurfer.
The lifeguards did see him, but it was too late. As they swerved, a big wave hit the lifeboat and capsized it. Now everyone was in the water. The lifeguards, the windsurfer, and the boy was still drifting out to sea.
Mayday! Mayday!
Stuttered Hi-Fi into his headphones.
Calling air sea rescue.
Meanwhile, Mr. Grimes was not having much luck finding peace and quiet on the beach in front of his hut. First of all, his repose had been shattered by a wet tennis ball hitting him on the head, and a big soppy dog who almost knocked him out of his deck chair. 10 minutes later, he'd just about nodded off when a small boy with a mouth organ almost drove him mad. And then someone flying a kite had tripped over his feet. But now, in the relative calm of Mon Repose, he poured himself a cup of tea. Suddenly, all the tea things began to rattle. Soon, the whole beach hut was shaking as a great big air sea rescue helicopter thundered overhead.
What on earth is going on?
Yelled Mr. Grimes, spilling his tea. The Raggy Dolls watched as the helicopter hovered over the capsized lifeboat. In no time at all, the rescue crew managed to turn it up the proper way, and the lifeguards clambered aboard. They picked up the boy and took his rubber dinghy in tow. The windsurfer had to wait until the helicopter flew off before he could pull up his sail and head for shore.
It's a good job the windsurfer and the lifeguards had life jackets,
Said Dotty.
Yeah, said Back to Front. And I bet that boy's going to get a worse telling off than Mrs. Crab's nippers.
I'm sure he's learned his lesson.
Said Lucy.
He won't do it again. It just goes to show how dangerous water can be,
Said Dotty.
No one should take risks by the seaside.
Including Raggy Dolls,
Said Sad Sack.
Look, the tide is coming in.
Oh, my goodness, said Princess. You're absolutely right.
There was just enough time to scramble back across the rocks and squeeze their way out of the cove. Later that night, the Raggy Dolls sat beneath a sky full of twinkling stars, eating baked bean sandwiches. Peace and tranquility had returned to the beach. All they could hear was the rhythm of the waves breaking and Mr. Grimes snoring.
He's nearly as loud as that helicopter,
Giggled Lucy.
Yes,
Sighed Sad Sack.
I don't suppose there'll be much Mon Repose for us tonight.